Hello YouTube, the PSA debate and the AGS debate continues. Right, okay. You guys are invested in PSA, I'm invested in PSA. You guys are going to say, okay, you all comment on my channel, they won't sell, this won't sell. The PSA 10 sells for more than an AGS card. Blah, 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 blah. Tell me something I don't know, right? People in the community like, that girl. Oh, there's people that don't say very nice things in the community. Yeah. But we're not the one with the side man, yeah? We're not the one with the side man, right? So anyway, I was right, and I'll be right again, because I know what I stand by, yeah? I know what I stand by. And a company that you scan the QR code of a card and you cannot tell me what is wrong with that card. So me and you, yeah? Let's say I'm a vendor. Let's say I'm a vendor, right? I'm a vendor. I'm a vendor at a show. Let's say, for example, I've never been to a show. I've never vended at a show. But if I went to a show and I was vending at a show, let me explain something to you. And I've got this AGS 9 and an AGS 10. And I've got this JoeG Gigas, yeah. Let me go back. Let me go through the stack here, because it's here. I can't remember what. Sometimes I put these things down and I don't prepare them for the video. Right, where's the JoeG Gigas 9? What have I done with that? Right, anyway, the PSA 9. Right, let's just say a PSA 9. Let's just grab a PSA 9, right? Grab a PSA 9. So, okay, this PSA 9. You go, oh, but why is this called a 9, bro? This card's got whitening on, bro. Yeah, it's got whitening on, bro. How's this a 9, bro? Yeah, you couldn't give that a 9. Couldn't give that a 9. But why is this card a 9? Oh, yeah, but we can scan the QR code and we get the grades of the card, bro. So if I'm selling it to you, you've got no reason to argue why I've sold you that card, right? You've got no reason. You're going, well, this is an AGS 9. This card has a 10 centering, a 10 surface, it has edge wear, right? And it has a hollow scratch. That's why the card's a 9, right? Well, the PSA one, okay, let me show you a video real quick, because I sold this Magneton. The whole point of kind of this video is I sold this Magneton, right? This Magneton's sold, right? So for all you no-hopers that keep saying, but PSA 10 sells for more than an AGS card, right? Listen. I don't care what you guys are on about. Like, I really don't care what you guys are saying, yeah? Because I've got more money. Right, listen. You know when it comes to, like, this game and assets and, stocks and bonds and mutual funds and cryptocurrency and grading and money and the whole genre of this just general thing, right? If you've got £50, like this guy I know, right? And he's going to me like, grade ace cards. Like, what? Like, you ain't even got £50 and you're telling me to grade a ace. Alright, my mate knows another guy, and the other guy was telling him to grade an ace, and this guy doesn't even have £50. Right? So you mean to tell me that you've got a guy. So my mate is a very wealthy individual, yeah? A very wealthy individual. And he turned around and said, like, to him, he's like, yeah, grade of ace, £50. Okay. All you guys that, are invested into PSA, and you're investing into PSA, and you're, buying all the 10s, like, don't forget, every time I sold a PSA 10 on my eBay, I'd go and buy like a random 10 on eBay, like for like £10, £20, or whatever, right? Now, the idea that you guys, I want to show you this, because this is going to show you some funny shit. So my mate sent me this today, right? And that... My mate sent me this today, bro. Have you seen this? Right? Okay. This is a PSA 10. Right? This is a PSA 10. This is a PSA 10. Look at the fucking size of that border, bro. Look at the size of that border. You're telling me that that's a 10. It's not a 10. It's not a 10. That is not a 10. Guys, that's not a 10. Look, you know the other thing, yeah? Right, these guys can't even put... Right, listen, this is a Right, listen, let me explain something to you about PSA, right? This is a multi-million-dollar business. Multi-million dollars. Millions and billions of dollars, right? That they have. Multi-million-dollar company, yeah? And they can't even create a case to put the sticker in there properly, right? Properly. How can they put the sticker in the case, right? They can't put a sticker in the case properly, yeah? Look, how is it so hard to make them borders where your case is to put that sticker in there pristine perfectly? This is why I reached out to AGS and I was like, I don't want to grade with CGC my stickers that I've got because I don't want to get scammed by them and them just mark all my great cards a 9 and there's nothing I can do, you know, and they scam me, right? And you're telling me that this sticker is a 10. Okay. Okay, sticker's a 10, right? A sticker's a 10. A 10, yeah? A 10. Alright, a sticker's a 10. Alright, okay. You want to see one more? I'll show you this. Right, don't forget, yeah, there's people that sell PSA slabs, right? There's people that sell PSA slabs, right? Now, I won't sell a card like that if it's dead, right? I've got a deli bird that is worse than that, right? So I'm going to pull up this video real quick. Here it is. Right, so EXO, it's X, who's made the video, right? It's EXO cards, right? So where can I like open the reel, yeah? Right, this one's got to be like a quick video, right? So as you can see, this card has got edge wear all the way along the top of the card. Are you ready? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at this. A PSA Gem Mint 10. It's not a Gem Mint 10, is it? Is that Gem Mint 10, guys? Is that Gem Mint 10? Is that Gem Mint 10? Out of everything I've said on YouTube, is that a Gem Mint 10? Is that Gem Mint 10? Oh, right. That's a Gem Mint 10. Okay. Okay, that's a Gem Mint 10, right? So I posted this picture on my story. I put, nah, guys, keep staying in denial. Money to grade again. Right. So I listed this card as Magneton 38 of 1 out of 10, AGS 9. Scan the QR codes for grades. Very hard grade. Right. So anybody arguing? But you sold this. Alright, so I sold this, right? So I sold this slab, right? And pretty much got my grading feedback after shipping. The card stands me at 0, so I'm not really bothered. I got the card from a booster pack a long time ago, so it really doesn't matter to me about getting the cost back for, you know, the card stands me at 0, right? So I can afford to sell this card at the base cost of shipping the card to the customer or whoever bought the card. If someone bought this card off YouTube, yo, thanks, this is a sick card, bro. This hollow pattern is amazing, right? But the idea that this card would have took you 6 months to get back this from PSA. Right, now let me give the PSA argument, right? The PSA argument is, this is how PSA argument is, right? But the AGS 10 or the PSA 10 sells for more than the AGS 10. Okay. Where's okay, right now you see that evidence, right? Right now you see that evidence on eBay, right? I'm telling you now, it will change, but it will take some time. Now everyone's sitting there going, oh, but you know, AGS will never do this or they will never do that, bad mouthing it. Yeah, because you're all invested in PSA. And eventually you do guys realise, right? Now I was explaining a conversation between me and a friend last night. We were sat and we was having a conversation for like 4 hours, right? We was having a conversation for 4 hours. And I was explaining the difference between the 9, the 9.5, the 10, and the pristine 10. So for example, like the legendary 10. So There's two big dudes on YouTube. I'll have to probably make a separate video on exactly what this guy said. So then you guys can look, well, this guy's got 50,000 followers or whatever, and he said the exact same thing as what I was saying originally before, right? So you get an AGS, you get a PSA 9. You crack that PSA 9, you get a Beckett 9.5. Well, now you just got $300, $400 on top of your slab cost. But it went from Beckett to right, so it went from PSA to Beckett, and you got $300 more for the card, right? Right, it went from a 9 to a 9.5. Okay, so you guys obviously know that now there's a consistency between the 9 and the 9.5. Okay, so now you got 9.5, and you crack that 9.5 and send that 9.5 to, you know, PSA to get a PSA 10. But originally it was a PSA 9. And then let's say they say, oh, we're not going to upgrade the card because it doesn't meet the requirements to get a 10. Well, now you just wasted your money, right? So, but Beckett and PSA are owned by the same company. Yeah, it's owned by the same company. Yeah, the same company owns PSA and Beckett. So you're telling me the market has not realised yet that, wait a minute, we're paying more for a 9.5 than we are a 9, right? So let's say, for example, you got that Magneton. That Magneton, say a PSA 9, anyone argues that, you know, I sold that card and I got my money back, right, for the grading. Now I can go grade. I looked at all these cards here. I looked at all these cards yesterday, and there's probably 3 cards in here that will probably be a 9.5, right? And obviously I'm grading them to get a 9.5, right? Now, I said on my video when I was first grading with AGS, I was like, well, I don't really like the 9.5 because I've always been a PSA 9 guy. And then I was like, do you know what? I like the 9.5 now because I see the difference why the 9.5 is better, right? So, for example, these are going to be all 10s, if not 9.5, right? So I can get my grading feedback for that Magneton. I've waited not even 10 days to get that back from, you know, minus the weekend, because the weekend is when you're shipping the cards like out to AGS, right? And 10 days, I've got that card back. I've got it back and I've sold it, right? And I've got my grading feedback, and I can go grade another card and potentially get a 10, if not to sit that card back in my collection, or I get a PSA, or I get a card that I've already got as a PSA 10, and I get that card as an AGS 10. Now I can sell my 10 because I know I've got a real 10. Yeah, and I don't know if my 10 is a real 10 by PSA. So the idea that you guys have all got these PSA 10s and people are cracking with screwdrivers and they're hitting the top of the cards when they're breaking their slabs because they don't even know how to crack a slab. And here's me cracking slabs with spoons, bolt cutters, and, you know, generally just taking the piss on camera. And I'm the one breaking slabs, like, I'm regrading them. And then I had a comment, like, with someone with a Reshiram Charizard, and it was like, well, why would you break, how is this card, you know, a 9 when it's got a white dot? But a white dot is not a defect. If anyone's seen, like, if anyone's seen Red Dot Tyranitar's got a red dot on the card, and it was a printing thing where, I don't know, some red dot kept dipping on the card, and it was just boom, and it was going through, but it's not raised. It's not raised, right, on the card. So when they like say the laser or the surface is at the eye, it's at that level, yeah. So the machine is not saying like maybe the machine's not saying it's a defect, right? So if the machine says it's not a defect and it just runs over it, it's like that's an ink dot. An ink dot is not like whitening. An ink dot is not whitening. So people are commenting on my channel going, oh well you think that card deserves a 10 because it's got an ink dot on it. Okay, but what are the parameters to get a 10? The parameters to get a 10, I'd say 10 surface, 10 edges, 10 corners, 10 back. 10 edges, 10 corners, 10 back. Surface is, say, a 9, right? The card's still a 10, because you hit a 10 on every single other parameter of that card, right? So for anyone who sits there and goes, oh, but you think that deserves a 10, well, we're going to find out, right? So we're going to crack that, and we're going to send it AGS, and we're going to see if that card gets a 10 or it gets a 9.5. The card might even come down to an 8. Maybe they've seen some, I might have seen, so there might be something I've missed with my eyes, and they might grade that card down a grade. So then if they grade that card down a grade, how many cards are on the market that are not correctly graded, right? So you guys saying, oh, but PSA is going to sell for this. All right, let's say you got a pristine 10, right? Let's say you got a pristine card, flawless. I tell you one thing, I could show you this card right now from this stack, yeah, right? This card, yeah, this card I reckon we'll bust the legendary. Right, I'll be very surprised if it don't get the legendary, right? Because you know, in my eyes, looking at this card, I'm like, yo, this is flawless, bro. Right? This is like looking at the One Piece card I graded and got, you know, the centering on this is banging, the surface is banging, the corners are banging, the edges are, you know, amazing. There's no whitening, there's no dirt, there's nothing on this card. It's an amazing quality card, yeah? Okay, you send this to PSA, you got a 10. Right? There's no pristine, there's no AGS legendary, there's no Beckett black label, there's nothing, right? Now, I personally believe that the Beckett black label is a scam. The reason why, because PSA owns that company, so they can determine, they can tell them graders, right, don't give out a 10 black label 10, and we'll give them a 9.5 on one of the items. They're going to crack that card, they're going to pay again, and then we'll give them a 10, right? We'll give them the black label 10 after, because then we can upcharge him, we can make money off him. We made money off him the first time, and we can make money off him again. PSA is designed to make money, and it's designed, it does not give a fuck about the customers that use PSA. They don't care. The idea that they will up your price when you send your submission to them halfway through, the price changes, they raise the price, and they say, you've got to pay the more price, or we don't give you your cards back. There's something that happened to me with PSA that I never like put on YouTube, or I even never disclosed on YouTube, right? And that was what made me think, you are really some scumbags, right? But maybe in a couple months or whatever, you know, I'll make a video about it, or something happened to me with them, and I was like, yo, I don't even want to be dealing with them again, right? Like, the idea that they can just turn around and say to you, oh, you've got to pay us this much more money because of this, and this, right? It's like, yo, you want to get your cards graded by a company, yeah? And then you get that card graded, you get that card within 10, 20 days, right? You get that card on the market, you sell it, right? You grade it, you sell it, you get the chance to get a 10. If the 10 sits on eBay for 100, 200, 300 pound, and it sits there for months and months and months. People say PSA is really liquid. I've had a Raichu on eBay for like 5 years. It's not sold. PSA 10. Do you know, I've had a PSA 10 Lugia. That's been on there for years. I was like, yo, I'm not selling this under 100. Like, this is a 200 pound card. Easy, bro. Boom, boom. That's sat on there for 5 years. You know, there's people watching it and 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 watching it, thinking I'm going to drop the price. I'm not going to drop the price because it's the PSA 10, right? It's the PSA 10. But what if that PSA 10 card has the potential chance to be a pristine or a legendary 10, right? That's why most people are switching. That's why a lot of people have switched to CGC, right? Because they're like, well, the pristine 10 sells for more than the PSA 10. So people are grading their cards now from PSA to CGC to get the pristine 10 because the pristine 10 is 50-50 centering, right? So they can get the pristine 10. Now, okay, the AGS Legendary is the same as the pristine 10 or the Beckett Black Label 10, but when you're getting that card, they're not turning around saying to you, oh, you need to pay extra fees. You need to pay an upcharge. You need to pay this, right? They're sitting there saying, yo, we're the company. We grade your cards, yeah? You send us your cards to us. We grade them, boom, boom, boom. You grade them, yeah? You get them graded, you get your cards back. Now, AGS, no, listen, yeah? This is like using your brain and learning how to look at what's going on in the market. They know that they're there to grade your cards. They get your cards back graded to you fast, right? That means you can put your cards on the market for sale before your cards have even come back from PSA. They've been sat there 6 months. So imagine this Magneton. If I get that back as a PSA 9, right? If I get that back as a PSA 9 and I put it on eBay and I put it on for like £30, and let's say someone sends me an offer for 25, it's like, well, I just paid 23 to grade it. I'm losing money, right? I sold that card at £18, right? My shipping label's what, £1.55, nothing big, right? And I get my £15 back for my card, which I graded it with, right? And then I get to grade another card, which now either be a 10, right? Or I get a 9.5 on something else. Now, the idea why I graded that card is because I'm like, I want to see, this card has got print lines, right? So let's see if this card can get a 10 with print lines or it gets a 9.5 with print line. It's the whole reason why we sent in a couple cards to see which specific, you know, boundaries we can see what they're looking at. And we see the images of what they're putting up. There's no reason to argue why the card's a 10 or a 9 or whatever it is, right? The idea that you guys can argue, well, PSA 10 sells for more, yeah? But we've already seen data of the Legendary 10 selling for more than a PSA 10. So, guys, if you want to keep waiting 6 months to get your cards back, look at Ace. Ace has got a deadlock of like 3 months, and the broke guys are telling you to grade at Ace, like 50 quid. They're like, oh yeah, you ain't even got 50 pound in the bank, and you're telling me to grade at Ace. Like, yo, STFU, yeah? Right? That's what we're saying, yeah? Yo, listen, don't tell me with your £50 that you've got, right, to go and grade with them. Or to go and... Don't tell me to do anything unless you've got more money than me, right? Unless you've got no more money than me, don't tell me what to do, right? Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one. The PSA argument and the CGC or the AGS argument continues. Blah, 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 blah. Right? We sold the Magneton. Right? So people say, oh, nobody wants those. Nobody wants those. Alright, argue the grade. Argue the grade. Argue the grade of the card. Send that card to Crack It. Send it to PSA. Get a 9. Right? Then you can't sell it. You've paid now double. Now the card stands here 80 quid. Right? And you got to sell it on the market for £20. You aren't grading to lose money, guys. Come on. Thanks for watching my video. Peace.